For the past 20 years or so, E3 has been the biggest annual event on the gaming calendar. It's still a massive event to this day, no doubt about it. But with several publishers pulling out and the move to open the whole thing up to the public, you have to ask, does E3 really matter anymore?
The Electronic Entertainment Expo, or E3 for short, is the place where developers, publishers and manufacturers gather to show off their newest games, consoles and whatever the hell else they want to sell to the gaming public. New console reveals and big game announcements have always been saved for E3. Sony announced the PS1, 2 and 3 at E3 conventions, as did Nintendo for the N64, the GameCube and the Nintendo DS. The latest and greatest game announcements also tended to arrive at E3, with developers getting a rare chance to show off their newest game on a massive stage in front of a huge audience. If you will, E3 has long been the rail yard from which so many hype trains have departed.
David Attenborough voice, tell us.
If you will, E3 has long been the rail yard from which so many hype trains have departed.
You're good at this. You're good at this.
The press gather in conference halls as thousands gather for live streams, and vloggers, bloggers and dickheads like us brace themselves for an avalanche of announcements and information.
However, since E3 2013, more and more companies have been scaling back their presence at the trade show for a variety of reasons, including soaring costs, setup time and location. Japanese companies found E3 particularly difficult because they had to spend a fortune flying over teams and assets to Los Angeles, and then having to hire translators to assist with interviews and demonstrations, stuff like that. One crucial factor is that the Entertainment Software Association, the guys who run E3 by the way, have also increased the cost of space on the show floor. The result? Only massive companies like Sony and Microsoft could afford the best spaces because they came with a premium price tag.
Back in 2007, E3 was pretty much cancelled because Sony, Microsoft, Nintendo and EA jointly decided to not attend the event, saying their multi-billion-dollar budgets would be better spent on hosting their own events at their convenience. However, in 2009, E3 was restructured and the majority of game publishers decided to take part in the show again. But not everyone was happy. Nintendo scaled back their presence at the show in 2011 in favour of their own live stream presentations, which they dubbed Nintendo Direct, where they would announce new games and even some consoles. Other companies were quick to follow suit. In 2013, Sony announced the PS4 at their own conference, and Microsoft did the exact same thing for the Xbox One. Then, in recent years, companies like Activision and EA have shied away from holding big press conferences at E3, while Disney pulled out altogether last year. The move towards web-based conferences and live streams has lessened the impact that E3 has on the gaming culture as a whole, because developers and publishers now have the ability to directly communicate with their audience, and their message can be spread instantly.
I'm a big fan of E3, which is exactly what they want me to be, isn't it? But I still love it, and even though it's all in America time, often it falls on a weekend, so I'll stay up late and just eat food and watch it and then go, oh, that's going to be good, can't wait to buy that in 8 years, you know, stuff like that. Last Guardian. So, you know, I mean, it's a great way for them to sort of spread the wings and show off a lot.
Yeah.
And also, you know, just as like a little social experiment, it's quite funny just to watch these people who are clearly, they've got no clue about hardly anything, talking about, you know, trying to appear cool. CEOs coming in with like, you know, State of Decay t-shirts. What are the kids gonna like? Let's get Usher. Let's get Usher and just dance. So I think E3 is quite funny for that reason, but also you do get to see the best games, and
it's the centerpiece, isn't it? It's the it's the date in the calendar that the gaming, you know, not just the gaming community doesn't do it justice. It's like the whole spectrum of the culture, the industry, community, all eyes are on E3. Because it's just the big date where a lot of things will get announced and a lot of new information will just be poured out all over the audience. There's so much information coming out in such a short span of time. That's why people look forward to E3. But the impact of it is just getting smaller, I think. The fact that big publishers are pulling out and doing their own thing speaks volumes. I mean, they think they can control their own PR message better, and who can blame them, if they do their own conferences. The fact that they're opening it up to the public, I think, is almost like a remodeling of the event. They're restructuring it almost, pitching themselves as something more like a consumer show rather than using big press conference events where they make the big announcements and show off the trailers for the first time and stuff. Maybe it'll be less about that and more about getting video games in the hands of gamers.
Yeah, more like a Comic-Con, you know, there's a bit more of
PAX, EGX,
that's
stuff like that.
Yeah, it's an expo, as Liam in the office said earlier, rather than what it originally was, which is a trade show, which we're going to get to right now. E3 is a trade show. The purpose of trade shows is to convince retailers to order large amounts of stock for upcoming games. But with companies hosting their own events before E3, what relevance does a show like that have anymore? As for indie developers, E3 is useless to them. They can't afford to spend millions putting on huge shows, so there's little to no point in them attending because they just get outspent by all the bigger firms. JP Le Breton, a developer at Double Fine, said back in 2014, E3 was only really meaningful during the AAA phase of my career, and he thinks E3 shows businessmen trying to outdo each other, and he hopes one day it will be fired into the sun.
This year is the first year that E3 is being open to the public in earnest. This is a big move. With public attendance, does E3 cease to become a trade show at all? Surely at that point it just becomes another games expo like EGX or PAX. Every year in recent memory, E3, which is of course only open to members of the press and the games industry itself, has had a fluctuating attendance, with some years performing much better than others. Opening the event to the public could generate excitement within the larger gaming community, and it may result in an uptick in attendance and maybe even overall significance to the event as a whole.
One thing's for certain though, there are people that still hold E3 near and dear to their heart. Many people still look forward to it every year and get really excited about all of its announcements. It's like Christmas for gamers.
And just like Christmas, E3 probably isn't going anywhere soon. Publishers will still hold on to some big announcements in time for E3, and people will still get excited for it every year. But if you ask us, organisers just need to be careful how they handle E3 over the next few years. They need to embrace change, they need to evolve with the times if they're going to hang on to their reputation as the place to announce new video games, new consoles and new tech. So there you go, E3. Do you still look forward to it every year? Let us know why you like it down in the comments. Remember to leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. There should be some more content right here for you, and a link to Patreon if you want to support the channel. We'll see you next time.